In 2012, the Canadian Parliament passed Bill C-38, which contained major changes to the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act and drastically eroded the environmental impact assessment process. If you thought the EIA system was weak before, you should see it now. Ultimately, EIAs identify how development projects will affect the biophysical and socioeconomic environments. They inform decision makers, anticipate risks, but also identify sustainable alternatives, mitigation strategies, and plans for monitoring after project completion. Also important, they invite public participation and feedback. The original act has been unable to protect Canadian waters, air, soil, forests, animals, or their habitats. Bill C-38 further weakens that protection. The requirement for an EIA is now at the discretion of the Environment Minister. This will make the process less common and open to more intense industry lobbying. The Act repeals the Kyoto Implementation Act, which drops reporting against greenhouse gas emissions. The National Roundtable on Economy and Environment has been abolished. Protection of species at risk and their habitat is weakened. The Fisheries Act has been gutted, and disruption of fish habitat is no longer prohibited. Shorter time limits have been imposed on the whole process, and pipeline approvals expedited. Public participation has been greatly reduced, and EIA responsibilities now fall mainly to the province. The bill has many implications on Canada's environment, politics, economy, and social standing. Environmentally, it reduces the amount of data collected on parks and species at risk, but also weakens the EIA requirements that companies investing in resource extraction need to fulfill. This in turn emphasizes our economic reliance on fossil fuel, forestry, and mining, and reduces future potential for an economy based on renewable resources. This negatively impacts our international reputation, highlighting Canada as a massive pollution emitter, and negates many of the prior contributions we've made to environmental preservation. Overall, the bill gives the Canadian economy priority over the environment. It weakens previous bills that had enforced environmental protection, creates shortcuts for energy sector developers, and reduces our greenhouse gas reduction plans in order to enable oil extraction. Consider this example. TransCanada has submitted its proposal for a pipeline that will move over 1 million barrels of oil a day across 6 provinces. A project this size should be subject to enormous overview and inspection, but the recent changes to our EIA Act make it nearly undefeatable. Consider the new time limits implemented. The National Energy Review Board has 15 months to complete their assessment on a pipeline proposal. This is not a realistic timeframe to try and qualify all potential concerns and may result in problems being overlooked. Additionally, the pipeline could cut through numerous habitats, but Bill C-38 exempts pipelines under review from having to minimize their impacts on protected habitats. EIA standards shouldn't be cut, they should be strengthened. We need to take a multi-scaled, adaptive approach to policy decisions affecting environmental governance. Policy decisions should be based on scientific evidence, and scientists that work for our government allowed to share their work with the public without censorship. We need these issues covered by the media, and we need coordination between the provincial and federal governments. Ecosystems must be viewed holistically. We need to update our legal consideration of what compounds are categorized as pollutants. Carbon dioxide needs to be added to the list, and its effects on the atmosphere should be considered at every project phase. The precautionary principles should be applied in all EIAs, as should the amount of water and other natural resources that will be used and not returned to the ecosystem in a healthy state. Corporations need to be held accountable for damage inflicted on the environment as a result of their activities, and proponents should pay an equitable amount for the natural resources used. Additionally, we need a carbon tax on the CO2 emitted as a result of development. Tax dollars should be used to fund environmental conservation, assessment processes, and renewable resource development to ensure our economy is strong. The public must be invited to voice their opinion, even if they're not directly affected. EIA policy aside, we need a long-term energy policy that moves us away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy. We also need a strategic environmental impact assessment policy that supports sustainable development. Learn more about Canadian policy, talk about it with the people you know, and tell your local government when you disagree with the decisions being made. By making your voice heard, participating in the discussion, and voting, you can help make a difference. It's your democratic right as a Canadian citizen, so use it.
It's as if consideration of environmental consequences are somehow an impediment to development and the economy. This is simply not the case, and that's what the environmental community has worked so long for, to find a truly sustainable economy that would protect the environment and all of the values that we hold dear.
Canada has always been a world leader in terms of fighting pollution and climate change, with successes like the Montreal Protocol. Why are we going backwards? And what are you going to do about it?